Hey everyone, how's it going? Sotharan here, and welcome to my Guardian Druid talent and rotation build tutorial video. Today I'm going to actually be covering my Druid tank that I've been playing as my ult during Wild Legion. And I kind of just wanted to make a quick video here about the talents and rotation that I've been using being able to tank. I've actually really enjoyed using this character as a tank because they're actually very survivable, and the constant heals you're actually able to give yourself and the amount of health and armor you're actually able to have, it's always very nice. It's a very nice thing to have when you're tanking. Compared to the Prot Warrior, it doesn't have as much damage absorption, but more of damage prevention. It increases your stats in a very extreme way, increasing your armor, increasing your health, increasing damage reduction, stuff like that. And then just as incoming heals that you're able to put on yourself almost constantly. So the first things that I'm actually going to want to do is cover the talents that I'm actually currently using for my Guardian Druid. So for the first one that I've been using is on the first layer here. I've been using Blood Frenzy. Thrash also generates 2 rage each time it deals damage. So this is the ability Thrash right here, which it strikes all nearby enemies, and it's a bleed effect, and it also generates a small amount of rage with this ability, which is great because it's going to be in your main rotation that I'll cover very soon. Then I've been using my second one is Guttural Roars. Increases the radius of Stampeding Roar by 200%, the radius of Incapacitating Roar by 100%, and reduces the cooldown of Stampeding Roar by 50%. What this does is Stampeding Roar is a movement buff that you're able to give to all your friendly players around you by 60% for 8 seconds. It kind of allows you that if you're in a fight and you're unable to actually cross the distance very quickly, you're able to activate this and jump to it very quickly and also move very quickly. You're able to help people move out of situations, stuff that's very, very nice, and I actually really like it a lot. The other one that it actually improves is the Incapacitating Roar. Invokes the spirit of Ursol to let loose a deafening roar, incapacitating all enemies within 20 yards for 3 seconds. Damage will cancel this effect, used in all shapeshift forms. So pretty much what this does is if you see a guy casting, if you're tanking a large group or anything like that, you can actually use this ability and interrupt them and disrupt them for 3 seconds. So it's a very good ability to have because if your DPS is unable to interrupt somebody, or if you're unable to actually get something, or any situation that you don't have control of a target, you're actually able to use this and stun them for a second and give you a few times to actually get towards the target and take care of them. The next one I've been using is Restoration Affinity, and it gives you the ability of Ysera's Gift. Heals you for 3% of your maximum health every 5 seconds. If you're at full health, a random nearby injured ally will be healed instead. You also learn your 3 healing abilities. So this is very good for your tanking because you'll be constantly generating a very small amount of health every 5 seconds, which in tanking, having any incoming health is great. And the fact that if you have full health, it actually heals nearby allies is great because you're able to actually help the healers out a little bit by just getting a little bit of a trickle of healing on people around you and yourself if you are injured. The next ability I've been using is Mighty Bash. It invokes the spirit of Ursoc to stun the target for 5 seconds, usable in all shapeshift forms. So this is kind of your interrupt that you get with this class, and I find this to be the best one at this moment, or at the level 60 talent range, is because it actually is an interrupt ability you're able to use on the target in front of you. It has a 50-second cooldown, so it's not very good at all whatsoever. But it is a nice little interrupt because you're actually able to use it and stun the target for 5 seconds and just stop them from what they're doing. It also is a really good CC that you're able to use to help yourself out. If you're in a bad situation, you can hit them, pop out of bear form, heal yourself a couple times, pop back into bear form, and you're good to go if you're on your own. But it's just a very versatile ability that I like to use. The next ability I've been actually using at the level 75 range is the Incarnation Guardian of Ursoc, an improved bear form that reduces the cooldown on all melee damage abilities and growl to 1.5 seconds and causes Mangle to hit up to 3 targets. It lasts 30 seconds. You may freely shapeshift in and out of this improved bear form for its duration. So pretty much what this is I'm able to proc this, and I'm able to attack more and also taunt more. And it also allows my Mangle, which is right here, to hit up to 3 targets, which allows me to deal a lot more damage and a lot more threat. So this is really good to use if I'm switching out with another tank and I need to generate a lot of threat for any situation. You're able to activate this ability and you use it, and then you'll be able to run in and you'll be basically taunting as much as you possibly can and increasing all your attacks. You'll actually be able to attack quicker. So in my opinion, this is one of the best talents to be using at this level here. At the level 90 range, I've been using the Guardian of Elune. Mango increases the duration of your next Iron Fort or Mark of Ursul by 2 seconds, or the healing of your next Frenzy regeneration by 20%. So these are your 3 abilities right here. So sorry, it's Iron Fur and Mark of Ursul. So this is Iron Fur right here. Increases Iron by 100% for 6 seconds. And then the Mark of Ursul reduces magical damage taken by 30%. As I go through the rotation, these are your 2 main abilities as tanking, because this increases your armor for melee attacks and normal abilities, and this also helps you with defending against magical attacks and magical abilities. So being able to have these on a shorter cooldown, or sorry, not a shorter cooldown, I'm increasing the duration of them by 2 seconds, is really helpful. And it also allows your frenzied regeneration to be increased by 20%, I believe it is. Yeah, 20%. And frenzied regeneration is your main healing ability as this tank if you're not using your other druid abilities and just using your bear form. It heals you for 50% of all damage taken in the last 5 seconds over 3 seconds. Minimum 5% of maximum health. It's really good to use because you're actually able to use this while you're being attacked by a lot of things. So it's kind of a thing you're going to be mixing into your rotation as much as you possibly can, because you want to keep your health up as much as you can. Because this class does have a lot of armor and a lot of stats, but it's mainly armor and health are the 2 things that you use to keep yourself alive. It's not damage absorption, nothing like that. It's your armor and your health you can be continuously increasing and trying to survive through. So this is a very important ability, and I think this is one of the best ones you're able to use. The last ability I've been using is Rend and Tear. While in bear form, Thrash also increases your damage dealt to the target and reduces your damage taken from the target by 2% per application of Thrash. So this is a really good ability because Thrash hits every single target around you, and it can stack up to 3 times on a target. So being able to do that, it automatically reduces all damage you're taking of every target around you by 6% just on its own by doing that. So I personally think that is really good to use because it allows you to be able to not take as much hits, and you're also able to survive a lot longer, which you really need to do playing a tank, especially a tank that's involved in keeping their health up and their armor and supplies there. Just mostly keeping their health up. So using this ability really helps out with that because you're going to be constantly thrashing with your rotation, causing you to have reduced incoming damage from the targets. So now after doing that, I'm going to be covering the single target rotation that you're going to be using. So the first thing you're going to want to be using is you want to use Mangle as much as you possibly can. And the reason you want to do that is because you actually want to reset. Where is the ability here? You want to reset this ability right here. Using Thrash, Swipe, or Moonfire has a 20% chance to reset the cooldown on Mangle and to cause it to generate an additional 4 rage. So using this, you want to use this as much as you possibly can, and because your other abilities have a chance to reset it and it basically allow it to happen again, you're going to want to use this ability as quickly as you can and then switch to your other abilities. As you can tell as well, it deals 20% more additional damage against bleeding targets. So what I like to do is usually Thrash first and then use Mangle. But you want to try and use Mangle as quickly as you possibly can because you want to be able to have that chance of the cooldown being reset and you able to hit it again. So what I would actually personally recommend is that you use Thrash and then your Mangle. But make sure you're using your Thrash as much as you possibly can. Another very basic thing that you'll probably already know if you've been playing a Bear Druid or Guardian Druid is that you have your Skull Bashes, which is kind of like a Warrior's Charge, just very short range. And then you have your Growl, which is your taunt ability. So those are the 2 main abilities. So if you're needing to taunt, first use your Growl, and then if you need to charge in, but make sure you use your Mangle as much as you can, and preferably with your Thrash first, because the bleed effect will increase its damage. The next thing you're going to be wanting to do is use Swipe as much as you possibly can. Swipe is an AoE attack that you have that basically just swipes nearby enemies and just does continuous damage to me. You can spam the crap out of this ability, and it's your main attack. So, and also because it's an AoE ability, it allows you to actually generate a lot of incoming damage and threat because you're actually able to target everything in front of you and around you. So you're actually constantly AoEing, and which is something I kind of think lacks in Prot Warriors personally, is that they don't have a lot of AoE threat generation. So this ability I actually personally like a lot because I'm able to constantly just keep going into it and able to do it. And the last ability you're going to be using is your Maul ability. And what this is just a single target maul the target for a specific amount of damage. It has a 2.5-second cooldown. So what you're going to be able to do is you're going to be wanting to use this whenever you don't need to use your pool of rage. If you need to keep your rage up to keep your Iron Fur going, your Mark of Ursol going, or your Frenzy Regeneration, ignore the Maul because, as you can tell, it doesn't do very much damage, and there's no reason for you to be using it. You'd rather want to save up your rage to actually use your defensive abilities. So personally saying, I don't believe you should actually be using Maul very much, but if you don't really care, if you're just doing damage or anything like that, you're going to switch to Maul as your very final last ability. So when it comes to multi-target, it's pretty simple as well, because in multi-target, it's pretty much the exact same rotation because your main attack is actually an AoE. It's very easy. So you're going to actually start out by thrashing your targets just because it puts an automatic bleed on them and it's a big AoE attack for everyone around you. And then you're going to want to switch straight to your mangle ability to apply it onto one target, and whatever main target you're focusing, whichever way you need to focus down, you're going to want to mangle that main target because you're going to be applying the most damage to it. After that, you're going to be switching back to your swipe ability and swiping as much as you possibly can until your mangle and your thrash is back up. Preferably thrash first, then your mangle. And if you don't need to use your rage, make sure to hop back to Maul, and that's pretty much the basics of that. Any AoE, any AoE situation, make sure to thrash, mangle your first target, swipe as much as you can, and then Maul. Other than that, you have your mitigation abilities and your cooldown abilities. So I covered the three basic abilities that you have, which are right here. I'll go over them very quickly again. So you have Frenzy Regeneration, which is your healing ability. You're going to be wanting to use as much as you can. You have your Iron Fur ability, which increases your armor by 100% for 6 seconds, and your Mark of Ursol ability reduces magical damage taken by 30% for 6 seconds. As you can tell, Frenzy Regeneration is the only one with a very, quite a long cooldown. And another thing I wanted to do is you can actually, it says multiple users of this ability may overlap. So what that basically means is because this ability actually has 2 charges up to it, because you actually can have 100, if you have 100 rage and you use this twice, it can overlap twice. So it's kind of helpful to use. But these 3 abilities here are your main abilities that you're going to be able to cycle in and out while tanking, because they actually keep you alive a lot more, and this is how you're basically going to be tanking. If you're taking a lot of physical damage, you're going to be using Iron Fur. If you're taking a lot of magical damage, you're going to use the Mark of Ursol. And this is why I was saying that Maul won't be used very much, because a lot of your rage is going to be going into supplying these abilities right here. One trick that I've been liking to use is while using Iron Fur, I'll use the ability, and if you double it up, it actually does increase your armor by 200%. So this is actually a really nice way that if you know you're about to take a lot of damage, you double click this as quickly as you possibly can, and you'll increase your armor by 200%, which is quite a lot. So in that incoming attack, you'll actually have a lot of damage reduction. But personally, what I like to do is if I don't have that incoming, I will use this ability and I'll watch it until it hits 1 second, and then use it again. And that just kind of keeps it going as a constant thing that you're going to want to have up, because if you don't have it up, you're going to notice you actually be taking quite a lot of damage compared to other things. And the other abilities that I wanted to cover are first, the Incarnation Guardian of Ursoc talent, which I was talking about before. This is one of your cooldowns abilities. I just went over it in the talents. I'll go over it again very quickly. It's an improved bear form that you're able to use that reduces the cooldown on all your abilities to 1.5 seconds and your growl to 1.5 seconds. Basically means you're going to be attacking a lot more and you're actually able to generate a lot more threat in areas. So this is a very good ability, especially if you need to generate a lot of threat or if you need to do a lot of damage. The other cooldown ability you have is Survival Instincts. Reduces all damage you take by 50% for 6 seconds, max 2 charges. So this is a 4-minute rechargeable ability. So what this ability is when you're about to get hit by something very hard, if your DBM says that you're about to get hit by a deadly attack, anything like that, this is the ability you're going to want to jump to, because you're going to use this ability and it reduces all damage you take by 50%. This is not a stacking ability. So what you want to do is you're going to want to use this ability, and then you're going to basically only want to use it whenever you are in a dire situation. Because it does take 4 minutes to recharge each stack, it's nice having 2 stacks because you can pop this in a boss fight, pop it again, and then hopefully if there's any troubles or anything like that, you're able to either A, regenerate your abilities again, or you have other abilities that you're able to use so that if you don't have any of these stacks, you're actually able to stay alive. And the other ability that you're able to use, you're able to kind of use it, this one's on a charge, is Bark Skin. Your skin becomes as tough as bark, reducing all damage you take by 20% and preventing damage from delaying your spell cast. Lasts 12 seconds. Usable while stunned, frozen, incapacitated, blah blah blah. So pretty much you can use this at any time, and this reduces all incoming damage by 20%, and it lasts 12 seconds. So it's kind of a very smaller form of Survival Instincts. It lasts twice as long, but it's not as good. It is the lower version of your ability. So you definitely want to be focusing on this one as for when big damage is coming in. But if it's not that big and you just need some damage mitigation, Bark Skin is a great way to go if your Iron Fur, your regeneration isn't working for you. The last ability that you actually be really using while tanking is your Rage of the Sleeper ability. So this is your artifact ability with Claws of Ursoc, they're called, and these are your artifact weapons for being a Guardian Druid. And the ability you get is Unleash the Rage of Ursoc for 10 seconds, preventing 25% of all damage you take and reflecting a certain amount of nature damage back at your attackers. So this is a really good ability, especially because it only has a 1.5 minute cooldown. You can use this ability quite a lot. And the fact that it's actually preventing 25% of all damage you take and redirecting it, it means that if you're in a situation where you're getting attacked by a lot of targets or anything like that, you can use this ability and even mix it in with your Bark Skin if need be, and that'll give you up to a 45% damage reduction buff, which is really good to use because while tanking, you're going to be getting hit by a lot of difficult, hard-hitting attacks. So you'll definitely want to be using this as much as you possibly can. But other than that, this class is very easy. The only other one thing I wanted to talk to you about is when you activate your bear form, it gives you an immediate 20 rage here. So I'll show you real quick. It gives you an automatic 20% of your rage. This is one of the best ways to generate your rage. You stay in your druid form, transform into bear. When you go in, it'll give you 20 rage immediately. The other abilities you're going to be wanting to use to generate your rage is your Mangle, which gives you 6, your Thrash, which gives you 4, and that's pretty much all you're going to be using for that. Because another ability you're able to use if you need to is the Galactic Guardian. Your damage has a 10% chance to trigger a free automatic Moonfire on that target. When this occurs, the next Moonfire you cast generates 15 rage. That talent is very good. Personally, I find it a little hard to be able to switch back and forth between bear, tank, bear, or sorry, not bear, tank, bear, normal druid, bear, normal druid, bear, normal druid. It kind of just defeats the purpose of taking all your abilities and actually doing that. So I personally don't like that ability very much. So what I would say to do is make sure when you're going into a combat, transform into bear, just to generate yourself 20% of your rage. And then you're going to want to Mangle and Thrash to generate the rest of your rage. Your auto attacks also generate another 8 rage for you, but that's just the basics of how to generate your rage. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, if you have any classes you'd like me to cover next, anything at all, please put them in the comments below, guys. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. As well, I just really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.